Things you didn't know about starter jackets. Look at those. That's vintage right there. You want to show yours again there, Frank? You want to show me your Florida State one?
That's the version I had, the puffy one with the front flap.
See, that was the big one. Yeah, that one was like the big deal.
This is just a windbreaker.
So the product began all the way back in 1971 when David Beckerman borrowed $50,000, used $25,000 of his own savings to open Starter. And Beckerman originally hired just one salesperson to sell satin bowling jackets.
It's hideous.
And it was only to 3 states, Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. However, his goal was to get licensed sports apparel because at the time it was difficult to find official gear. Like he felt that you should be able to walk into a store and buy a Yankees jacket or Yankees t-shirts, and it wasn't readily available back then. So the first license came in 1976, and it was baseball. Major League signed on for $500,000. But Beckerman wanted more. He didn't just want official apparel. He wanted authentic apparel. Do you guys know what the difference is?
Approved by the league, I would imagine?
No, because official apparel is still approved by the league. Authentic apparel is what the teams and managers and coaches wear. Okay. So that's what makes it authentic. And so it means that they would actually be wearing it. And one of his first converts to start rocking the starter stuff was Joe Torre, because at the time he was actually the manager for the New York Mets.
The Mets photo is just not good.
But he apparently
drinking a lot.
He knew he was friends with one of the truck drivers that delivered starter gear, and so he was one of the first guys to actually start wearing starter material. What's that, Frank?
So he got his cut.
He did. He probably did. Now, licenses for the NBA and NHL quickly followed Major League Baseball, but the big deal came in 1983 with the NFL. Now, there was a series of really strange events that happened back in the 80s. There was a warehouse fire, a hurricane, a tornado, and all of those caused inventory losses. There was also an overseas shipment that contained 250 pieces of lice-infested merchandise.
Nice.
Yikes.
And yet still they were unstoppable. And they had one of the more brilliant marketing campaigns. And not marketing campaign, just really marketing move. Because at the time, how were people wearing their caps? Kind of 80s into the 90s. Backwards.
Yep.
So what did? They put their logo on the back. So when somebody's wearing the cap, you see the starter logo right there.
You want me to really upset people watching right now?
Yes.
If you're a guy over the age of 12 and you still wear your hat backwards, loser.
Let me clip that.
Now, the one exception I'll make with that backwards hat is because I do this is when I'm golfing. I turn it around.
Yeah. I also always do that when I'm doing stuff and I don't want my hair getting in my face.
Clearly.
I did get bitched at one time. We were because back in high school I actually did have hair and actually had long hair. And I remember we were playing basketball and I played on the baseball team and I had my hat turned around backwards, and one of the coaches from like up above the gym, he was like, "Hey coach, you get that cap turned around the right way." I was like fucking yelling at me, and I'm like, dude, like let's pump the brakes there, Tiger. It's not that serious. It's a goddamn baseball cap. But anyway, so in 1991, the brand was doing $200 million a year in sales. And this is when you started to hear about kids getting robbed and sometimes even killed for their gear. I remember getting this issue of Sports Illustrated.
I remember seeing it and seeing all the news reports about all that stuff going on.
Yeah, it was.
I remember getting a talking to from my parents, which is if someone does that, it's just give them to it. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I think mine kind of had the same thing. They're like, if you have anything that somebody wants, just give it to them. It's not worth your life. And there was a story about a kid named Damian Burgess. He was a 12-year-old. He owned and loved a $69 Syracuse starter jacket, but he told reporters he knew better than to wear it after dark. That's what times were like back then, my man.
Well, there was that whole thing too, where it was like certain colors were like perceived as gang
if it was
colors,
gang related, yeah.
Shot, for wearing I saw like a documentary in '94 about some gangs in in Arkansas, and there was like a lot of them wearing Florida State gear, and the reason why they were wearing it was because it was red, and they were like blood members, and so they were wearing it just. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they had those conversations at our school too. I can tell you right now though, where there was no gang activity, Clackamas, fucking Oregon.
Or Tallahassee, Florida.
So the downfall of Starter actually happened right around 1994. Can you guys think of what event started to cause the downfall of Starter?
FUBU.
No. But you remember what FUBU stands for?
Andy Dick.
Do you remember what FUBU stands for?
Fuck you by us.
No.
For you by us?
Yeah.
For you by us, and it was actually the baseball strike of 1994. No baseball, nobody's wearing the gear. Sales started to plummet. The company ended up filing for bankruptcy in 1999. And finally, Beckerman got out of the business, moved into real estate. The company has changed hands a couple of times, including Nike purchasing it in 2004, and then ultimately was bought by Iconics in 2007, where it is still owned.